Hello student, Hemant sir is here. So today we are going to understand the types of orbit of the satellite. In previous video we have completed the part of orbit of a satellite. What is the orbit of satellite that we understood in our previous video. So today we are going to understand the different types of orbit where satellites are going to be launched. Okay. So on the basis of the distance from the Earth's surface, we have three types of orbit. First is the high Earth orbit. In short, we are writing it HEO. Then we have medium Earth orbit. We are writing is at MEO. And last but not the least, we have LEO. It is the LEO, lower Earth orbit. Okay. So, on the basis of the distance from the Earth's surface, we have three types. So, out of them, we are just understanding the first, which is the high Earth orbit. Okay. So, the orbit which have height equals to or greater than 35,780 kilometer, then it is called as high Earth orbit. Okay. So, let's understand in detail of the high Earth orbit. So, what is high Earth orbit? The orbit which have height more than 35,780. Here it is 0. Okay. So, 80 kilometer from the Earth's surface. Okay. So, the distance from Earth's surface to here is equals to 35,780 and high. Okay. And the height more than that value. Okay. It is in kilometer. Okay. Then this orbit is called as high Earth orbit. Okay. Now next point. Above the Earth's surface are called as or is called as high Earth orbit. Okay. In this orbit, satellite takes around 24 hours to complete its one revolution around the Earth. Okay. If satellite is over here, then it will take around 24 hours to revolve around the Earth, which is nothing but the revolution of the Earth on its own axis, and the revolution of this satellite around the Earth is same. Okay. So, if this satellite revolve around the equator of the Earth, then the period of revolution around the Earth of the satellite and period of revolution of Earth on its own axis will be the same. That's why this orbit feels or like appears stationary with respect to the particular part of the Earth. Okay. So now let's understand the next point. So in this orbit, satellite takes 24 hours to complete its one revolution around the Earth. Okay. Then we have satellite. When satellite revolve at this height, which height? 35,780 kilometer. Then at equator, height is that much, and if it revolve around the equator of the Earth and takes 24 hours to revolve around the Earth, then the satellite will appear stationary with respect to Earth. Okay. And such satellites are called as geosynchronous satellite. Such satellites are called as geosynchronous satellite. Okay. So, it is in short also called as GSAT, that we have understood their abbreviations in the previous video. Okay. GSAT is geosynchronous satellite. So, satellite they revolve at that particular height, 35,780 kilometer above the Earth's surface, or maybe above that particular height. Okay. Now next point. Geosynchronous satellite used to observe the specific portion of the Earth only. Okay. If satellite is geosynchronous with Earth, then it will observe the particular part of the Earth only, that particular part. Okay. That's why it is called as geosynchronous satellite. So, we have to understand the application of GSAT or geosynchronous satellite. Okay, so what are the applications? So first application we have, it is used in meteorological research. Next we have, it is used the carrying signal to TV television set, in your mobile phone, as well as in radio signals also. So such geosynchronous satellite are used for this following purposes. Okay, so now we are going to understand the middle earth orbit. Okay, so before going to start middle earth orbit, you have to write this important part of the high earth orbit. Okay, so writing down first, then we are going to start the middle earth orbit. Okay, so write down now. So now we are going to understand about the middle earth orbit. So what is middle earth orbit, that we have to understand first. Okay, so the middle earth orbit is when the height of a satellite is between 2000 km to 35,780 km. इन दोनों डिफरेंस के बीच में अगर हमारा ऑर्बिट है, देन इट इज कॉल्ड एज मिडल अर्थ ऑर्बिट. ओके, so orbit which have height more than 2000 or between 2000, here we have to write between, height between 2000 kilometer to 35,780 kilometer, then it is called as middle earth orbit or medium earth orbit, MEO. Okay, in this orbit, satellite takes around 2 to 24 hours. It depends on the height from here to here. Okay, so it takes for to revolve around the earth one revolution, it takes about 2 to 24 hours to complete its one revolution. Okay, satellite in this orbit are used to study the polar region of the earth. Okay, so such satellite, they are launched in middle earth orbit. They are used to study the polar region of the earth. That's why MEO, that is middle earth orbit, is also called as polar orbit. Okay, and in this orbit the satellite may revolve in elliptical or in circular path. Okay, satellite are launched. Okay, so satellite, they are launched in particular orbit, are used as PSLV. It is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Okay, so these are nothing but the polar orbit, and in polar orbit, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle is used to launch the vehicle in polar orbits. Okay, polar orbit may be elliptical or circular in shape. It depends on the function of satellite. Okay, which type of work is going to perform that satellite. It is launched on the basis of elliptical path or in circular path. Okay, or in a particular height also. Okay, so application. So application of the satellite which are launched in polar region is the GPS system. It is the global positioning satellite. Okay, it provides the perfect location in latitude and longitude of the earth. That means the perfect position of the object on the earth surface. Okay, so this is all about the middle earth orbit. Okay, so now we are going to understand the lower earth orbit. So before going to start LEO, you have to write down all the points about the middle earth orbit. Okay, so write it down first. So now we are going to start the low earth orbit now. Okay, so low earth orbit is represented as LEO. Okay, so the orbit which have height above the earth surface between 180 km to 2000 km is called as low earth orbit. Okay, so on the particular height, the distance from the earth is very low. That's why the satellite takes around 90 minutes to complete its revolution around the earth. Okay, so in this orbit, satellite takes around 20 minutes to complete its one revolution around the earth. Okay, satellite in this orbit are used for the scientific research, and atmospheric study. Okay, it is nothing but the application of satellite which are on the LEO. Okay, so they are used for scientific experiment and atmospheric study. Okay, now International Space Station and Hubble telescopes, they are revolving around the earth in particular orbit. Which one? In low earth orbit. Okay, so students, here we have completed about all the types of orbit, that is high earth orbit, लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट एंड मिडल अर्थ ऑर्बिट. ओके, सो आई होप आपको ये सेशन बहुत ज्यादा इंजॉयबल लगा होगा. सो हम मिलते हैं हमारे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में फॉर द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर, नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द चैप्टर कॉल्ड सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल. ओके, सो आज के लिए इतना ही, मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में. सो द इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट यू हैव टू राइट ऑल दिस पॉइंट for the low earth orbit. Okay, so for better understanding you can keep repeat the video once so that you will understand all the points clearly. Okay, so bye for now.